Hello there, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the second part of the preface for V1 of the West campaign. So, this one is primarily to do with the actual air doctrines, and we are actually going to proceed from the air doctrines to then naval movement and obviously the potential logistics of that. So, we're going to take advantage of the actual game design here. We're going to go to the automatic air directive creation. So what we do is we go to our map information here. We can click this button here. So you can also press Shift D. So I'll do that now. Shift D. Okay, so this one here shows us the different settings for all of our different commands, and we can definitely change a lot here. As if we take a look at the bombing of the cities, we can see here that the strategic air command is set to operate at 18,000 feet, operates a day. Okay, do only on 2 days. Now, percentage to fly, mission percentage, and then escort percentage. Now, this dictates that they will not fly without an escort, which is good, because we don't have escorts available at present due to the fact that I moved the P-38 Lightnings closer to, well, to the airbase at Calibria. Mostly so they can actually have the range to actually escort over here, which is definitely required. If we take a look at their range, there we go, so we can see their range here. The purple is the furthest extent of their range, or possibly range with drop tanks. I'm not entirely sure. It's been a little while since I've been in the air mechanics, but we're doing this together, so we'll learn as we go on. Okay, so anyhow, we are going to go through and take a look at this. So, we have two options down here. So we have amphibious support south and amphibious support north. Now, amphibious support south dictates the tactical air Mediterranean options over here. So the moment it's set towards a, well, it's going to help us out with the amphibious invasions of Sicily. So it's set to ground support at medium, air support is at high, targets are airfields at high, units are low, rail is low, but I'm going to set that to medium. Ports are medium. Ferry interdiction, that is set to high, so that's a high priority. Interdiction is medium. Rail yards are non-existent. So that's the difference here. Now basically, this is tactical command, so obviously it's going to be different. Now if we were to take a look at strategic air command, it would be different here. So we can see here, ground attack north, ground attack south, ground attack north, ground attack south. This is day and this is night. So we're going to make our different doctrines here. So tactical air north is going to have absolutely zero ground support and air superiority as it's not needed. What we can do is we can try to establish air superiority, but again it does depend. I mean, tactical air command isn't really going to be doing too much right now due to the fact that we don't have any landings in the north planned as of this moment in time, but in the future that will differ. So they will attack airfields. I could go for ferries, but it's not going to make much of a difference. Interdiction would be nice, but I don't. It would be spending a lot of resources, and there's no need. I need to keep these ready. Okay, strategic air command day. So this shows you their targets here. So they would target armored fighting vehicle production centers, aircraft ports, rail yards, manpower, resources, oil, fuel, which is up there at medium, heavy industry vehicle armament, VU weapons, VW weapons. Not entirely sure which ones these are, and U-boat production. So this is in the day. Okay, then at night it's targeting manpower. Basically cities to reduce the amount of manpower flowing to the Axis war machine. Ground attack types. Now I'd like to target possibly heavy industry. The reason for that is heavy industry is what creates the supplies and the other factors that go into the logistical network. So if I can start to damage the heavy industry, that's good for me. And uno momento, just have a drink. Okay. Ground attack types. What do I say? So ground attack self is set to high priority. They're going to target airfields. I would like them to target the railways and rail yards and then interdict as well. Ports can be the tactical commands area of expertise. Yep, that works fine for me. Okay, strategic air night. Now then. manpower. Well, what we'll do then is we'll attack heavy industry at night as well. And there we go, as well as fuel and oil. Well, oil and fuel, heavy industry. There we go. Manpower can be lower slightly. We'll have the... Well, we'll have the armaments up there too. We'll have the heavy industry as a priority. There we go. That works for me. So we're going to set these air directives. So assign new air directives. There we go, so they're set in task now. Okay, so now if I press this, we can see here that the AI has set a number of directives. As we can see here, due to the directives I put in place, they're going to use the 8th US Air Force to bomb the cities in this area. And there's a lot of industry in this area. If we take a look here, we have a hell of a lot of industry here in the Rhineland. We have vehicle production, we have armaments production, we have AFV production, fuel, manpower, there's a lot, resources, there's a hell of a lot in this area. So we need to damage it. I mean, we have armoured fighting vehicle production over here. So we have half-tracks being produced here. We have Panther Ds being produced, Hummels. So that's not good. We'd like to reduce the number of those, ideally. Okay, then of course we are attacking Paris with Tactical Air Command, the 2nd RAF Tactical Air Force Command. Then over here we are using the Strategic Reconnaissance Force of the Strategic Air Wing to basically survey the location and to commit some strategic bombardment, well, strategic bombings of the cities over there, like Rome and etc. The Strategic Air Force is set to attack, that's fine. Reconnaissance with Tactical. Tactical is ground attacking, tactical is superiority, and we can also see which planes we have available in this. We can actually see what planes are in this. Okay. So, Hurricanes, Spitfires, Battlefighters, Apaches. Oh, it's another kind of Apaches that you'd imagine, but still Apaches. Interesting. I love the Havocs. I think the Havocs are such good planes. It's crazy how good they are. Okay, so we can also see which air bases they're going to be flying from. So they're basing over here and then flying out. There we go. And frankly, that works for me. That works to the directives that I'm wanting. We are going to be invading Sicily in the following phase, so this is good for me. I have told the... Well, let's take a look here. Wrong one. Right, okay, so you can see here. You can see where they're being based from, you can see the size of the area, you can see the altitude, their time, the intensity, the groups are set to automatic, so basically the AIs decide what planes will fly in there, or I could dictate which planes fly or which planes don't fly, that sort of thing. I could also dictate the loadout of said planes. Whether they have drop tanks or etc., what sort of armaments they take. The weather that they're set to fly in. Okay, naval patrols. How many raids and how many we lost. Okay. Yeah, so these priorities have been carried out. Now, if I do this, this will move and slash manage the air units at the bases, so we'll go with yes. Okay, so if I take a look over here, we still have our lightnings. We can see that we've been joined by some Spitfires. Apparently the AI agreed that having the P-38s based over here was a wise idea. So I will agree with that. Okay. So we're going to go forward. And execute said directives. There we go. So we can see what's been executed at the moment. Okay, so we can see the losses here. Now I can obviously change the level of detail on these messages. So you can see here that we have Typhoon damage by flak. You can see the combat. So if I turn that down to 2. If I turn that down to 1, it should be very quick. And there we go. So I can do this by pressing 1, 2, 3, and 4. if I go for 4 while we're bombing like these areas, that's good. You might want to change it when you're in the different sort of doctrines, so you can kind of see what's going on. Okay. So you can also see the defences here. Yeah, so only 288s defending that airspace against a large number of planes. There we go, so we have 32 BF-109s under the command of this commander here. Lawrence Cunningham is in charge of the Tactical Air Force. Okay. There we go. So we've identified that there's a mechanized force over here. Right, now let's see some detail here. You can see that the industry was damaged. Right, so these are air patrols. So you can see that they have Focke-Wulf 190A 5s and V4s, as well as BF-109G 6s. So at least we can sort of get a measure of what sort of resistance we're facing. Okay. Right, we can see that the lightnings are actually escorting, which is good, in good numbers as well. Very good numbers. Okay, we'll go back to message level 1. I'm just showing you what you can do with the message levels and how they affect things. You can also see the statistics here. So far we've lost 192 planes. The Axis has lost 119, 120. Wow, okay, that's going pretty quickly. You can see what they've been lost to, so we've lost a lot to air combat. The vast majority to air combat, so the Axis is performing quite well in the air. Operational losses, flak losses. So at the moment, the vast majority of losses are coming from the actual Axis warplanes. Over time, that will reduce as the planes experience fatigue, while the pilots experience fatigue, and also we do damage their airfields and force them to withdraw. There we go, so you can see the comparative differences in the amount of sorties conducted. Obviously this is over a week period rather than a single day, and we're in the 4th day. We go day 5. So Friday. I assume Friday anyway. Very good. Hello. Yeah, so you can see issues here. I mean, even with the practically unlimited resources of the Allied war machines, we still don't have the amount of resources that we would like to carry out these missions. It's all about concentration of mass. So you can see that we've caused quite a bit of sense of damage to the area around Essen, like those cities in the area. Okay, so we can see here that we lost 519 aircraft. 1,249 were damaged. The enemy lost 209 and 561 were damaged. So that's quite a large number for the Axis, especially considering that they are going to find it significantly harder to replace these. Right, so you can see the different rates here and the damage and what it did. So you can see here that we did hit manpower with this many planes. I think this is how many were lost, perhaps, or how many fought against us, perhaps. Right, so you can see location Essen. So, caused some damage here. 8% of damage, 2%, 83% damage here, potentially. I don't know if that's 83% damage, I'd have to check. Yeah, heavy industry. Obviously, these are things that you'd have to go into the manual, and I will go into the manual at some point in the future, and we'll be able to figure this out in detail. But we can start to see what sort of damage we are well, doing here? Okay. Reconnaissance of the airfields. Attacks on the airfields and the damage caused. Right. So strategic air force. Okay. So they had 1,080 raids. Okay. Air bases, rail use, yep, there we go. Interdictions. Okay, so we hit the heavy industry. And again, heavy industry. Good. Right now, superiority. And that just go. I just turned that off, didn't I? Right, okay, that, was a boo-boo. Didn't mean to do that. Okay, we'll have to reset that. Okay, either way, we'll do that in the next phase. So, there we go. So we can see really what happened and how many raids were conducted, how many sorties, how many losses, that sort of thing, to determine the amount of resistance. So, quite a lot of resistance around Paris. Obviously, the vast amount of the resistance being around this area of Germany. Which is obviously gonna happen. Let's see. Oh no, actually we did cause some significant damage here to the heavy industry. You can see that some of it has been repaired already or starting to be repaired. The Panzer D is no longer damaged. The Panzer D production, the Panzer production. Hammer production obviously not damaged right now. Resource production is currently knocked out. Heavy industry is rather heavily damaged. Okay, so I reckon those numbers were actually quite accurate. And we have caused a significant amount of damage in that short period of time. Obviously, the Axis will be able to repair it over time, and it's basically a fight against the Axis repairing and the Allies causing the damage. Now, some people have asked me to invade the Balkans. The issue is, there doesn't seem to be anything here in the Balkans. I'm not entirely sure if the Axis would respond, and it feels somewhat unfair. Because it doesn't seem like there's anything there, but possibly. But I suppose they could always, like, use the rail lines and make it down here, but we'll see. Right then. So. Let's see here. So we have the 8 key. So if I press 8, we can see here all the different logistical lines. So you can see here that this railhead, well, this collection of rail yards is currently supplying all of these different airfields here. So you can see Norwich is supplying all these other airfields, Ipswich is supplying these ones, Harwich, etc, etc, Liverpool, Sheffield. I kind of live... yeah... trying to think now. Kinda around here. Kinda around here somewhere. Maybe about here. Anyway. That's good to know. Right, so we'll turn that off for the moment. Now, if we have that on, we can obviously see the different rail lines and how they're functioning. The amount of freight. Right then, so what we want to do now then is we want to go ahead and select the naval transport mode. Right, amphibious mode. Right, what these numbers represent here, so you can see that the different anchor signs, and they all each have a different value in that. So 15 represents that this port can handle 15,000 tons of freight, 60,000 tons of freight, 45, 90, 30, 15, 30, 15. Okay, 60. And we can also see over here. Now, the dark blue hexes represent the naval, well, the amphibious landing locations. So that's where they've been targeted for the moment. Light blue represents the airborne, so that's where the airborne will land. You do gain a bonus by having airborne land around these amphibious locations, and if you conduct an amphibious invasion with allied units near to that actual invasion, they do get a bonus. It's more likely to happen, it's more successful. Okay. So you can see here shipping. troop transports and cargo. So we have 250 troop transports and 1,998 cargo ships. Okay. So now, we have Task Force 86 of the US Amphibious Command. They're targeted at 146,293. I do wish it would show you where it was with the actual unit. So what was it, 126 or 146? Yeah, 146,294. So they're targeted over here then. Alicata. That's fine. So we're going to launch these invasions. So the preparation here is 56. Now if I was to change the target, it would reduce the preparation. And I believe you need to wait for at least 50 preparation, I'm not entirely sure, before you can actually launch an invasion. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to launch an invasion over here. So we're going to launch an amphibious invasion. There we go. So there we go. Now that attrition 7, that means like how much attrition was suffered on the way there. So you can see here so far, ground losses, the Axis have lost 431 men and 3 guns. Air loss is obviously different entirely. Destroyed units, nothing right now. Okay, as you can see here, they lost some 88mm anti-aircraft guns. The Italians lost an aircraft gun, anti-aircraft gun. Air support and vehicles have been damaged and air support there. Okay. Invade. Now what we also need to do is take a look at the units following up. So if you can see here, the units assigned to a naval invasion are highlighted in blue, as you can see. Yep, okay, so we're going to click invade. Okay. Now you'll have to be moved up to the port here, along with this. So you are assigned to the US 7th Army. Obviously we'll have to move out these corps over here. Let's move them to Iran. There we go. Now we'll continue to launch invasions. And invade. And invade. Okay. So now we can see that our amphibious transports are just off the coast here. And this is where they will be landing in the following turn. So you can see this is where we're going to be hitting. So we have some resistance here, and we have some resistance here. Elsewhere, we don't see too much in the way of resistance at this moment in time. So what we need to do now then is... let's see. So these units here, they need to move out and join up over here. There we go. So what we want to do then is take a look at the actual corps commands. So we have the 2nd US Corps over here, 2nd US Corps, 2nd US Corps, and of course these forces are attached to the 7th US Army. But what I can do then is I can have it attached over here. So you can see here, the 2nd US Corps can command a good few more divisions here. So what we'll do then is we'll have them assigned. There we go. So each division's worth about 2 here. Okay, there we go. Now, what should I do here? This command could do being moved up, the 7th US Army. I think what we'll do then is we'll have that move up to Tunis. Take them off the train. Right, okay, we can't take them off the train at the moment. But they've moved up significantly closer. As you can see here, these guys are targeted over here. So we'll leave that off. Okay, so now I could have them drop. Yeah, so we can dictate what they use. So, transport planes there. Capacity. So the load here is 1,072 tons, and that's fine. So we'll launch. Now I could use these other formations here and target them. So if we take a look over here then, as we can see here, we have airborne forces targeted at 149,293 and 154,294. And if we were to take a look at what we have present in the actual area of Sicily. So we have Gela Regila, which has a level 1 port, which isn't huge, it's not exactly amazing. But in terms of what we have elsewhere, we have the port at Syracuse, which is a much larger port. It's been damaged, however, quite heavily, but it's a level 3 port, and therefore would be worthwhile taking. So what we'll do then is we can target different airdrops over here. Okay, so you're going to land at 149, so you're going to land over here then, 149,293. So I can target them, so select new airborne target. I'll have that. There we go, so I'm going to target there. Set new target, yes. We can have them land here. There we go. So now the airborne forces will land, well, they'll launch at night. So what that means is it'll happen before our true turn. It'll happen during the German turn. So the Germans will be able to respond as well as the Italians will be able to respond. So these airborne forces could be wiped out quite easily. Right, so you can see here that we have the different British paras. So I think we'll target them as well. Okay. I'd like to interdict these rail lines to, well, just to prevent different reinforcements from arriving. We'll also drop here as well, so that'll give us a bonus to the actual landings there quite nicely, quite handsomely. Okay, so these guys aren't ready yet. These guys aren't ready yet, but these men are, so we can go ahead there. Just gonna drop. There we go. Well, let's just make sure. Right, load cost, yep, okay. Right, so they'll launch out the mission. Assigned to drop. Assigned to drop. Okay, good. So that's going to go ahead. So that's the airborne invasions covered there. Okay. So now, we need to take a look at the different forces here. Okay, so that's the provisional US call. We have the British over here, we have American forces over here. So what we want to do then is we want to get that armoured force definitely onto the beaches. Right. Obviously the issue is the American landings. There's no great port. And I probably would be better off having the Americans land over here along with the British. Do we have any British forces? There we go. Right, so you can see that they need to be moved out. Okay, insufficient port capacity. So I screwed up there by moving them there. Okay. Victory points, by the way. Right, so this is hugely expensive. Yes, I do need to move them to a different port. I'm kind of silly by moving them to the wrong port. We need to move them from tuners. Right, so naval transport mode. There we go, see how we can then move them out. Okay. Let's have you assigned to the 13th British Rifle Corps. And there we go. So they're assigned to the 30th. So we'll move you there. And then we'll move you out to join the landings. There we go, absolutely fine. So we have the 30th, and then we have the 13th Corps over here. So both forces are landing there, it's going to be rather interesting. Okay. Obviously I can't take them off the ships right now. Just checking what happened if I did that. Okay, so these forces need to move. So we'll have them... let's see, where do I want them? I don't think I have any British armoured available at the moment in time. Or I possibly do further down here. Yeah, okay, I do have some British armoured. Oh no, that's first US armoured. Okay. Okay. I need to be able to unload them in a large port. So we'll have them unload over here at the British landings at Syracuse. There we go, you can see here that we lost 211 men and 355 were disabled. So if we take a look at the losses here, yeah, you can see that's represented. As well as 8 armoured fighting vehicles. If I take a look at the actual 2nd US armoured table of equipment, which is here. Okay, so we can see that they lost a few medium tanks, they lost a few light tanks, some self-propelled infantry guns. Okay. Yeah, I can see some of them have been damaged as well. So we do have the M4A3 Sherman, the M4 Sherman, M4A1, M3A1 Stuart, some bazookas. Okay, so these are our mediums with 75mm M3 gun. There we go. Let's compare the statistics then, shall we? So if we go over to administration, yeah, commander's report, go to equipment, and let's take a Panzer IV if we can find one. Okay, so we'll take a Panzer IV-H. Okay, so Panzer IV-H. When do they... okay, so they started... well, they'll start this year anyway. And we'll compare that to an M4 Sherman. Sherman 5, not what I want. Need mediums. Okay, Sherman Dozer. Assault tanks. Okay. And for a free Sherman. There we go. So we can see here, the Sherman does have more armor. Yeah, it has a hell of a lot more armor. Reliability is higher as well. The build cost is slightly higher. The build limit for the Panzer is actually quite somewhat higher. Ammo use is higher. Fuel use is higher because it's a larger tank basically. Size is a little bit higher, same amount of crew. I mean, a large crew really does make a massive difference in tank combat. Really does, and just operation. Okay. So they do have a higher range and more accurate gun. A slight more anti-armor here. Penetration is better for the Panzer. So that's good to compare. Okay. Right. Into Iran. What is the capacity? So 74,000 tons. I do need to get you moving as well. Okay. So we have infantry over here. So these will be our follow-up units. Okay, not as I can't seem to get the capacity to move them, that's fine. Okay. This rail group will be needed. Yeah, okay, we lost quite a few men there. We'll have them assigned. That hurt me, but it's worthwhile. Okay. Transport cost is quite high. Okay. Have them assigned to the 13th Rifles. So we have some Moroccan Free French as well. We'll have them move across afterwards. Okay, so we do have some more armoured over here. And we have some British armoured. I knew we did. Yep, more British armoured. Okay, so what we'll do then is we'll have them be ready to move out. We need them in a port that can actually handle them. So we do need them to move up towards tuners, really. Rail capacity should be able to handle this. Okay, they can't move all that way. Right. So we can begin moving those forces out then to the port soon enough. Now obviously we will not be preparing for D-Day as of this moment. It's too early. I can see here that we have the Canadian armoured. Yeah, a bunch of Canadian forces. So what we need to do then is obviously be prepared. So in the future, I think what we're going to do is we're going to invade Brittany, I think. I think that'd be rather interesting. I mean, it would obviously be fun to invade Normandy. Calais would be, that'd be hard mode. That would definitely be hard mode. But I think Brittany. So if we were to take a look at actually compare invasion sites. It's much larger, obviously, much larger. The thing is, we're not dealing with these hedgerows as much. That's a good thing on top of that. So if we take a look at the actual site. I mean, port-wise, so that's a level 2 port. Brest is a level 6. Lorient, level 5. Yeah, the reason why I somewhat favour Brittany is the fact that I'd like to sort of launch an invasion at Lorient and Brest, perhaps. I mean, obviously it's quite a large distance between the two invasions, so I'd have to go here as well and try to just cut off this part of Brittany. But if I was to do that, then we would have control of 3 ports instead of a 1 port at Cherbourg, which I think could make a big difference. Obviously we can establish like temporary ports, but I think having that larger amount of ports then initially would allow us to gain access to more logistics quicker. Obviously it would be difficult to hold on to due to the increased area. I mean, obviously here the widest point, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I suppose 8. I don't know if you count that. I suppose it's either 6 or 8. Well, it's here at the widest point. Well, probably at the point we'd land at. It'd be seen, I don't know. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's around about that sort of area. Obviously it depends really. I mean, at the narrowest point is obviously 4, well, 2. Depends how you want to call it. Okay. So that's sorted. We have the invasions ready to go. And I think this is where we're going to call it to an end of the Preface Part 2. I think the next episode will be the true and proper next episode as we do get into combat. So I'd like to thank you all so very much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this so far. I hope to see you again in the future. And obviously do check the description below to be able to find your own copy of Grigsby's War in the West. And do try to become active on the forum. There's a lot of help for new people. And obviously it's always good to ask questions there and get engaged with the community. So, if you are new to the channel, do consider subscribing or supporting me as a creator. It does make a difference. Until next time, goodbye and have a great day wherever you are and whatever you're doing. See you next time, guys.